the Science Guy.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
It's one small step for man.
Science rules.
One giant leap for mankind.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Did you know that the Earth goes around the Sun and the Moon goes around the Earth in a very predictable cycle? Very predictable. Not everything's like that. See, the Moon is always the same. It never changes. It's the same size and shape, round like a ball. But it looks different to us here on Earth because of the way sunlight hits it. That's right, moonlight is really sunlight. And it changes because the Moon is going around the Earth and the Earth is going around the Sun. Everything's just going around. Okay, let's say that this baseball diamond is the orbit of the Moon. Now, the diamond's square and the orbit's round, but you get the idea. Now we need a sun. So let's say that the Earth is on the pitcher's mound. Now see, by the way, the scale of this globe and this moon are about right with respect to the orbit of the Moon. That's the baseball diamond. Now notice that right now, when you're standing on the Earth, you can't see the Moon at all. This is what we call a new moon. And the reason you can't see it is the Moon is between you and the Sun. Now the Moon orbits the Earth in this direction. So when the Moon gets to first base, it's a half moon because sunlight is falling on half of it. Huh? Then it keeps running to second. Now when the Moon's back here at second, it's a full moon. That's because the Moon is on this side of the Earth. And here's a trick. The Moon's orbit isn't flat. It's tilted. So a lot of times, when the Moon's back here, will be way up here. But notice it's still a full moon. And this is why most of the time the Earth's shadow doesn't fall on the Moon. It's almost always full. Got to keep moving. On to third. So over here at third, it's a half moon again. But look, the shadow's on the other side. That's because we're on the other side of the Earth. Well, time to break for home. So with the orbit set up like this, the Moon would end up right on home plate. The Moon scores a home run every month. Well, that's astronomy for you. Or baseball. Well, I guess it's both. You know, sometimes you can see the Moon during the daytime.
Each week the Moon looks different. Sometimes it's round, sometimes it's a teeny sliver, and sometimes you can't even see it. Here's a fun thing to do. Look at the Moon. Sometimes you can see it during the daytime. Draw what you see on your window. Don't worry, it's just soap. You can wash it when you're done. Look at the Moon in a couple of days. And draw it again. When the Moon's not there, that's called a new moon. Just draw a dotted circle. After a month, the Moon starts the whole thing over again. And the dark part always goes from the right to the left. The Moon's in your room. Cool.
Moon glow is really sun glow. That's right. Moonlight is really sunlight that reflects off the surface of the Moon like a mirror. And you say, well, how can moonlight be so bright? I mean, where does it all come from? Well, two things. First of all, the Moon doesn't have as much gravity as the Earth, so it can't hold on an ocean or an atmosphere which absorbs moonlight. And moon rocks reflect a lot of light. You know, moon rocks are a lot like Earth rocks. They have a lot of the same minerals. Minerals like potassium. Potassium's in bananas. Now, one of the reasons that scientists think that moon rocks and Earth rocks are so much alike is that perhaps the Earth was hit by a giant meteorite, a giant rock in space. It hit the Earth, and that material spun off and formed the moon. So, moon glow is really sun glow reflecting off of moon rocks. Huh, wow. Glow figure.
Thank you for flying Nye Airlines. Chicken or fish?
Community Access 27. Next, the High Dilly School with the moon.
And now, Miss Marshall's 4th grade class presents The Moon, a play in 2 acts. Act 1, The Revolution.
So where did the moon come from anyway? Well, our best theory right now is that the ancient Earth was hit by a giant asteroid, a big rock from space. Of course, in space, there's no sound, so it'd be more like... Anyway, this material was melted, molten. After a while, a piece of it got flung off, and the pull of gravity held it in orbit. And that's our moon. Now, because the moon was formed by this impact, the moon's orbit is tilted, even today. Pretty hot.
10, 9, ignition.
Are you looking to get away from it all? Enjoy life again? Then Apollo Charter Tours has just the ticket for you. Come fly with us, and in 3 short days, all your cares and worries will be a world away.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Hippity-hoppity, hippity-hoppity, hip.
Come, join us for an out-of-this-world lunar experience.
Hey, you okay there, Buzz?
Yeah, just took a leisurely trip.
Everything you need has been provided for. Expert pilots and technicians, in-flight food and beverages, entertainment, spectacular
Oh,
views,
boy, I got you.
craters, and of course, the best golfing this side of Pluto.
That looked like a slice to me, Al.
All for only $25 billion. And if you act now, we'll throw in 2 hours of free lunar mobile rental to really get you going. Call now and reserve your seat in the capsule. Apollo Charter Tours. This has been a fake commercial and was not intended as a guarantee, warranty, or prediction. Any similarity to an actual product, living or dead, was purely coincidental. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The moon doesn't just sit up in the sky either. Its gravity pulls on everything on Earth, including the ocean. So see this? This is the high tide mark. And way over there is the low tide mark. Now, along with the sun's gravity, the moon's gravity makes the ocean move from there to here every day because of the pull of the moon's gravity. Now, what's the main reason we have tides? Because there's a moon.
This slime down here, ew, I touched it.
Oh, yeah, here, look at there.
Oh,
Low tide uncovers a whole new world of interesting things.
check that out. Where the stick is where the tide is now, and then a little bit later, or when we come back to check it again, it's going to be a little bit higher so we can see how fast the tide is.
It's an eel. Found it laying out in the sun.
It's moving!
If we didn't
have a moon, we wouldn't have the tide, so we wouldn't be able to catch this stuff. Hey, y'all! The spider crab's probably waiting until the tide comes in, so we won't bug him anymore. He's probably getting really irritated. No moon, no tide. High tide! Wait, right there, pull it out, pull it out. You pull it out. Low tide! It's fun here. I wish Bill was here. The tide's coming back in!
Okay, let's say this is the moon orbiting the Earth. Once in a while, the shadow of the moon will fall on the Earth, and we get a solar eclipse. Okay, now then, once in a while, the shadow of the Earth will fall on the moon, and we get a lunar eclipse. Let me ask you this. Why don't we get one every month? An eclipse every month? Because the orbit of the moon is tilted. So, once in a while the shadow falls on the moon, but most of the time the shadow misses. And we get a full moon and a new moon every month, no problem. Isn't that wild?
Uh-huh.
It's all because the moon's orbit has a little tilt. The Earth is round.
Okay.
And the Earth's shadow is round. Ancient Greek astronomers realized the Earth was round when they saw the Earth's shadow on the moon. Here, take a look. Now, this is what we call an eclipse of the moon, or a lunar eclipse, when the Earth casts a shadow on the moon. You know, sometimes the moon is around on this side of the Earth, and the moon casts a shadow on the Earth's surface. That's what we call an eclipse of the sun, or a solar eclipse. By the way, the shadow from a solar eclipse is a lot closer to this wide than the other one. That's because the scale of this model isn't quite right. Now, an eclipse is whenever sunlight is blocked. If the Earth casts a shadow on the moon, that's a lunar eclipse. If the moon casts a shadow on the Earth, that's a solar eclipse. It's a big sunlight blocking party, you know, sun block, Earth block, moon block, rock block!
Stand by for touchdown. Stand by. 25 feet. Down at 2. Feels good. 20 feet.
About 20 years ago, I had a great experience.
Contact. Stop, push. Engine stop. Okay, Houston, the Challenger has landed.
And that was to walk on the moon.
That's beautiful. This has got to be one of the most proud moments of my life.
There were 12 people who have actually set foot and walked on the moon. I was the 12th.
Okay, Bob, I've got my tools of the trade right here.
And my job as a geologist as well as an astronaut was to gather as many samples as we could.
Light gray material on either side. Oh, man, that's incredible.
And do other measurements that would add to our total knowledge about the moon.
And here we have a vein going through a rock, and one can just tap the edge of a rock like that, pick it off.
Let's see if I can't crash the corner and get that contact.
We took thousands of samples while we were on the moon, individually numbered, brought them back to Earth, and they are still being worked on by scientists here on this planet.
Jack Schmidt, having a few problems.
The gravity on the moon is 1/6 of that of Earth. That is, if you weigh 60 pounds here on Earth, you'd weigh 10 pounds on the moon. If you can jump 2 feet off the ground here on Earth, you could jump 12 feet off the ground on the moon. For example, here's a boulder I couldn't even hope to lift here on Earth. But on the moon, that would be a piece of cake. You could lift that up, probably get it above your head.
Man, that is hard. Just don't stub your toe.
Running across the surface of the moon, for me, was like cross-country skiing. You take long strides and you kick with your toe to get more speed. Well, on the moon, you can do the same thing, except you glide above the surface instead of on the surface. Now, I think you can run faster than the lunar rover could drive.
We'd like you to leave immediately.
Okay. My golly, this time goes fast.
The feeling of leaving the moon was, for me, a very sad one. I didn't have any concern about the rocket lighting and us getting back home, but I really would have liked to have stayed longer, to learn more, and, of course, we knew it was the last mission to the moon. And the last of anything is always, I think, a sad occasion. I've been to the moon. Some of you will probably go to Mars. It is important to remember that, and that not only in geology but in all sciences, the frontiers are infinite.
Community Access 27.
Act 2, The Eclipse. Intermission.
Pretty loony, huh? See, loony, lunatic, lunacy, and lunar are all from an old word that meant moon. People used to think that if you slept outside under a full moon, you'd go crazy. I've slept outside under plenty of full moons. Do I seem crazy?
Uh-huh.
This is a moon phase clock. So you see right now, it's a full moon. As the month goes on, the moon moves from this side to this side and gets covered by this piece here. So then we have a new moon. And later, the moon starts to re-emerge from this side. Now notice that the shadow on the moon is always moving from right to left, just like the real moon. So not only is this a beautiful piece of furniture, it's also a scientific instrument. Oh, look, it's time to get going.
So now you got it. The moon looks different because of its phases. New moon, first quarter. Full moon, third quarter. That's because the moon goes around the Earth, and Earth goes around the sun. Get the picture?
You're probably wondering how the pull of gravity between us and the moon affects things on the moon. The moon has no atmosphere. There are no plants or animals there. There's no ocean. There are no tides. But there are moonquakes. They're not nearly as wild as earthquakes on Earth, but moonquakes do cause the moon to shake and wiggle a little bit, like a bowl of jello. Now, we know they're moonquakes because we left moonquake detectors there. You can't see them from here, but they're there.
They all claim to be lunatics when the moon is full. It's ridiculous, I tell you. It's got nothing to do with the moon. I have to call you back, Mom. Please, have a seat. I didn't see you come in. Yeah, I get all types. Lousy day, blame it on the moon. Bad grade in school, blame it on the moon. I say. Cheese and crackers? No, it's not green cheese from the moon. Another myth, I tell you. What are they going to think of next? Man in the moon. You kidding me? Now, take a look. What makes you so sure it's a man? It's all a matter of culture. That's right, culture. The Greeks and Romans, they saw a woman's face. In Asia, you see a bunch of animals. Sheesh. Now, it's a matter of perspective. You don't have to be a detective. Your own observations are just as effective. Now get out of here. It's a full moon and I got a poetry class to go to.
It's a full moon. Normally when we do the show, we use a lens like this. But tonight, so we can do some moon gazing, we've hooked up this 800-millimeter lens of science. Take a look.
We say new moon because we can't see it. The moon is in between the Earth and the sun.
Half time, half moon.
When the sun hits the moon now, it lights up half of the moon. That's because the moon is to one side of the Earth, like this.
Full moon.
The sun is over there, the moon is over here. We can see the whole thing.
Replay!
30 feet, 2.5 down. Straight shadow. 4 forward. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I like to watch the moon cycle. I like to watch it phase. I like to watch the moon cycle. I like to watch it wax and wane. The moon has its own gravity. It makes tides ebb and flow. And since our orbits are in sync, then only one side shows. I want to see the far side of the moon, but there's no way. 'Cause the only way to see it is to be in outer space. The darkness moves across the moon. It goes from right to left. I'm learning so much now. I want to be a scientist.
Oh, the moon is amazing. Oh, that's our show. Thanks for watching. Hey, keep moon gazing. See ya.
Produced in association with the National Science Foundation.
Rolling. Action.
Hey, let me do it again. I got it. Okay. I'm gonna get a lot of altitude. Pretty loony, huh? See, people used to think that if you slept... I gotta start over. Sorry. Oh, here, I got an idea. Let's make it real straight. Pretty loony, huh? See, loony, lunatic, lunacy, and lunar are all from the same word. The word for moon. People used to think that if you slept outside under a full moon, you were crazy. I've slept outside under plenty of full moons. Do I seem crazy? First one was the funniest, wasn't it?